Oh, Sandy. By the way, I love what you've done with the place. It looks great. I love that chair. Anyway, it ties into what we're going to talk about tonight. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle, and I am the co-MC with Louise, who is here as well. She stood a sentinel at the door. Welcome, everyone, to our Thursday evening conversations. It's a ongoing thing. And I'm glad I see some people that I know and love and recognize. But is anyone new here tonight? First time? Nope. Okay. Hello, Zoomers. How are you? I guess you're warm and cozy. I thank you guys for stepping out in that lovely day we have today. But it was a lovely day. It's okay, right? I love, and by the way, we're not going to talk about this song. That is one of my favorite songs. It put a smile right on my face. So thank you. I was supposed to be meditating, but that's a form of meditation too, is bebopping to the music and just going in that zone. So you get it, right? So anyway, tonight we're continuing with our living with gratitude, because it's the month of Thanksgiving. So it's a very topical topic. And as you can see, if you've been here before, this is a new chair that I have not seen it, and it's all dressed up in beautiful socks, and it's all set for the evening. But the topic is going to be happy sitting in a chair. Okay. I sit in a chair a lot. My new work, well, not new work, but the work I've been doing, I sit in a chair a lot. But does that mean I'm enjoying what's going on around me? So we're sitting in a white wicker chair, enjoying the outside yard, and the whole world is available to experience and contemplate. And tonight is an appreciation of what is in our own backyard. And what does that mean, our own backyard? We don't have to be outside to appreciate what is going on. We can actually sit in our chair. I should actually sit in my chair at work in Manhattan and enjoy what that inner self and that contemplation. But I found a poem, and this is a poem that I discovered when I needed it most. How many of you have ever been on the New York subway? I'm on it most days, okay? And you don't think of it as a calming place to reflect, but when I needed it the most, and I really do believe that that energy is there, I was on the train, and I think that's how long I've had it penned up near my desk, and I thought of it for today. And I said, I read this on the subway. I actually put this on. I read this on the subway, and I really needed to read it. It's the poems. How many of you have seen the poems that they write? But imagine my brow was furrowed. I was going to work, and here is this poem, and it is by Marie. Oh, the coming out of nowhere moment when nothing happens. No, what do I have to do today list? Maybe half a moment, the rush of traffic stops, the whir of I should be, I should be, I should be, slows to silence, and the white cotton curtain hangs still. And I get goosebumps when I hear it, and I kept that to remind me that sometimes you just stop and take a moment and gather all that there has to be around you in that one moment of silence. The space between the activities is such a wonderful place. And reading this poem put me in that place, and the whole train ride changed, and the day for me changed. And I think Brother Erik, who is wonderful at this, is going to talk about this. And I'll just give a little background on him, because he is so many things. But he is currently the director of the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual Organization in the USA. That's right. You're right in the heart of it, Harmony House. And additionally, he is a representative for the BKs, the Brahma Kumaris, at the UN, and a member for the NGO of the Freedom of Religion, of Belief, and Religious NGOs. He's also on the board of directors of the Multi-Faith Forum. And if you've come last year, and anytime we do something with the Multi-Faith Forum, please make an effort to come because it was awesome. I don't use that word a lot. Everyone uses awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, that French fry. That's awesome. No, this was awesome. So make an effort when we do have people with multi-faith here, come. He is an experienced Raja Yoga meditation instructor, a retreat facilitator, and you'll get some of that tonight. And he, in his work, in his career before his retirement, he served as a civil engineer, which is kind of cool, and retired from a career in property loss management with companies that you've heard of, like GE, General Electric, and Global Asset Protection Services and Global Risk Consultant. These are big companies that we've heard of, but he has retired and now we get to really sit with him in that comfortable chair and listen. Om Shanti.
Good evening, Om Shanti. Great to see all of you here. I wasn't sure who might come on a first rain in 2-month evening. You might be out dancing in the puddles or something like that because it's going to stop the wildfires of Manhattan. You know they had a wildfire there, right? Manhattan, Brooklyn, Bronx, New Jersey. It's kind of amazing. And tonight is going to be a little different. Try to make them all a little different. But we did get a new chair. And we plan our Thursday nights ahead of time, at least the topics. We try to get a theme and we try to get presenters and we try to get, what it's going to be. And so I was thinking about what I might share in November and around Thanksgiving and the theme of gratitude. And actually this chair is from the actual backyard of Harmony House. And I get the great opportunity, and I invite all of you, if you would care to, I get the chance to pick up the sticks. I get a chance to pick up the pieces of paper, and I get a chance to say, I think I need a break. And this is where I sit. I have a couple little spots out there. And then when I was sitting, I was thinking, well, what should we do? And I thought, I really enjoy being outside, sitting in the chair, because there are a lot of minor miracles happening. I walked around, I did something, I feel good, and I want to take a little break, and I sit. And I say, look at that. I watch the squirrels, and they jump around. They're kind of fun to watch. My attention moves somewhere else then. And then I notice, we've got a vegetable garden. It's not always weed-free, but it's kind of amazing. I've probably talked about this before, but it's always a miracle. I plant potatoes. Get some organic potatoes that haven't been treated. And when they start to, over a couple months, grow eyes, cut them and put them in dirt. That's all you have to do. And a couple months later, it's like Christmas or a holiday. You kind of turn the pot over and you dig them out, and it's like potatoes. Things happen. And the more I kind of look around, the more I kind of am always amazed. And then I don't even have to do anything and I can feel good. And I'm hoping to plant that seed in your mind to practice just being content, comfortable, happy, nothing going on in a chair by yourself and observe. Because it's almost psychedelic in the backyard sometimes. We've got multicolored leaves on the tree. The wind is blowing those. The sun is hitting them. There's a blue, there's a green, there's a yellow, there's some motion. And is quite amazing. If you sit and watch it, if you have the ability to somehow just be present and accepting whatever is there without judgment. And so for me, sitting in this chair in the backyard and being engaged with my senses, with the world, whatever's happening, not planning anything, not thinking about much, I'm going to offer that it's about as good as it gets. Because when we're not thinking of anything, when we're not planning anything, when we're not worried about anything, when we're just available, one of the things that I try to teach and communicate and practice is the sense that whatever you think about, you connect with yoga. And so you're pulling in the energy of that. If we all practice thinking about something sad, an event or whatever, we could all make ourselves sad. We have that power. And if we think about something good and elevated, someone cared for us, we pull that in, that energy is going to be there. And if we just allow ourselves to rest our mind, to be present, and not connect with anything, that allows our natural qualities to emerge. And one of the basic principles of the Brahma Kumaris is we're spiritual beings, peace, love, happiness. And so that sense of if I can just be with myself, I will start to sense those emerging. I can make myself, by listening to myself, peaceful, content. And that's what this chair, that's why I brought it in. And I'm going to give you a little side note. When you come up on the stage, when one comes on the stage, we take our shoes off because they've been outside. So we end up with socks. I always have to think about socks I'm going to wear, what I'm going to do that day, make sure that they look semi-presentable. Some people have an issue with holes in socks. They just don't think those qualify for stage worthy. But the sense is that we leave the shoes that were outside off, so we don't bring up here. But the chair didn't have shoes, but I didn't want them because it was outside. So I didn't want it to, kind of cross any of our guidelines and ordinances and rules and regulations. So I didn't want it to be barefoot, so to speak. So I put socks on the chair so that nobody would complain about these things. So that's why it's got socks on it. So it's going to pass the okay to come on stage criteria. This is Thanksgiving time. That's why we have gratitude. And it also happened that I got my annual copy of a magazine, newspaper. And it's called the Gratitude Gazette. And there's a lot of different articles, tidbits. And so I thought I would share that tonight. Just read some things and we can muse on that. I want you to sit comfortably because there's a lot of ways that it's been presented and for us to think about. And so if there's a spark of inspiration that comes after one of these little tidbits, then that's fine. Because this is just, we're going to share a little of the Gratitude Gazette. So, no big long lectures, just things to think about. And so one of the articles, if you woke up this morning with more health than illness, you are more blessed than the millions who will not survive this week. If you have never experienced the danger of battle, the loneliness of imprisonment, the agony of torture, or the pangs of starvation, you are better off than 500 million people in the world. If you can attend a church meeting or not attend one without fear of harassment, arrest, torture, or death, you are more blessed than 3 billion people in the world. If you have food in the refrigerator, clothes on your back, a roof overhead, and a place to sleep, you are richer than 75% of the world. If you have money in the bank or in your wallet, or spare change in a dish someplace, you rank among the top 8% of the world's wealthy. If you can read this book, you are more blessed than over 2 billion people in the world who cannot read at all. So count your blessings and remind everyone else how blessed we all are. Not to draw happiness in comparison to others, but just actually to focus on what we do really have. And when I read one of these things, I'm reminded of some of the stories that we get to hear in our headquarters in India, Mount Abu in Rajasthan, kind of northwestern point on the west side. And you get to meet people from around the world. I think 120 countries, Raja Yoga is taught, Brahma Kumaris. And, it's different. The situations that people practice, how they do things, culture comes involved, a variety of things come there. But I'm always just amazed at some of the stories that some individuals tell. One that I remember right now is India on the east side is close to, let's say, Burma or Cambodia, some of those countries, dictatorships, and they're not allowed to travel. And so there's a small group, and these were actually some young women who would take the train to the end of the tracks, and it kind of ends up in the jungle, and they walked through the jungle into India to catch another train, and the trains are very slow there. So it was like a 3 or 4 day journey to get to the headquarters. So they kind of snuck into the country. Probably isn't advisable for any of you to do this, but there was such a desire to come and to meet and to be a part of it, that they would walk for a day through. I'm seeing tropical jungle to achieve that. And there are others, where this gathering, how many do we have? 3, 7, 10, 13, 14, 15 or so, is illegal. There's some countries where having a group of more than 5 without permission, without spies coming in and such like that, you could be imprisoned. There's different cultures, there's different situations. And so it's pretty easy for us to get around to do things. And one of the things that comes along is if you have a great opportunity, you have a great responsibility. And so what do we do? And where do we focus? Comes to mind when I hear some of these things. Because oftentimes we do compare with each other. Well, they've got this or they've got this. But if we can step back and recognize this is a very blessed group, actually. We're here to come together to kind of investigate our spiritual thinking, share some ideas about that, and be able to take those experiences home. And so the Gratitude Gazette kind of shares that for us to think about. There's another little story. There are a couple of them. Is that okay if we read these and just kind of reflect on that? That's what this chair is all about. We're just going to sit and maybe, Here's another story. A blind boy sat on the steps of a building with a hat by his feet. He held up a sign which read, "I am blind. Please help." I just have a thought. You've all looked at me. You've seen me, right? Nothing spectacular is going to happen. Why don't you close your eyes while I read this story? Is that okay? Nothing, no one's going to bonk you on the head or anything like that. Everybody's going to be okay. But see if you can do that while I read this one. I'm going to keep my eyes open while I read, if that's all right. A blind boy sat on the steps of a building with a hat by his feet. He held up a sign which read, "I am blind. Please help." There were only a few coins in the hat, spare change from folks as they hurried past. A man was walking by. He took a few coins from his pocket and dropped them into the hat. He then took the sign, turned it around, and wrote some words. Then he put the sign back in the boy's hand so that everyone who walked by would see the new words. Soon, the hat began to fill up. A lot more people were giving money to the blind boy. That afternoon, the man who had changed the sign returned to see how things were. The boy recognized his footsteps and asked, "Were you the one who changed my sign this morning? What did you write?" The man said, "I only wrote the truth. I said what you said, but in a different way. I wrote, 'Today is a beautiful day, but I cannot see it.'" And so experience the miracle of sight as that blind boy, as that blind girl, and open your eyes and see the world as a blessing. How we see ourselves, how we position what it is, and how we can recognize each of our senses. Sitting in the backyard, I get to see things, I get to hear things, I get to smell things. We have some wild mint, I get to taste things. This chair isn't the most comfortable, but it's fabulous. How much do we have that awareness of how fortunate I am to have a physical body to experience the world? I can see things. I can see people smiling. I can smile. I can use my face. What do I make as a foundation for my life? Appreciation, gratitude, everything's kind of like wonder. It's amazing. Or do I say, why me, not this? What happened there? How come they? Where do I fit in? Because today is a beautiful day. How many of you were happy that it rained? Yeah, yeah, the grass, everything's dust around here. I saw a picture one time where in India, they have monsoons, and it's bizarre to me, where they say, "Oh yeah, it usually starts raining heavy June 15th." Like that's pretty precise, but it's true. It often comes at a regular time, and they know the dates. So after months and months of no rain, they have monsoons, and then they get a lot of rain at one time, and then they have to store it for the rest of the year. Yeah. And so when it rains after months, they have pictures of the kids going out, dancing and playing, and just, it's like, this is great. How do we see weather? It was nice to have month and a half or 7 weeks without rain to do things outside and such, but at the same time, um, plants, trees, hope it all makes it back. What do you see? How do you look at things? A very famous person has a some advice for us. Journal. People are often unreasonable and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are honest, people may cheat you. Be honest anyway. If you find happiness, people may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today may be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give your best anyway. For you see, in the end, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. According to this, that was something Mother Teresa said. Be good. It's not between you and others. It's between you and God. What do you do? We get to offer blessings to unknown people streaming by here at Harmony House. Because there's some senior citizen homes that side, and there's some hospitals on that side. The ambulances seem to go past once in a while. So I'm hoping that you have a grateful attitude, that whoever's there needs your help and good wishes, and that it's not you. So I'm glad you're here. Glad I'm not giving you good wishes as you fly by in a vehicle with lights. But that sense, what is your life about? How can we reflect this month with gratitude and know that, how do I hold the thought of what is my eternal, most important relationship? Because there will be others who aren't going to see it your way, agree with you, behave the way you want. So what are you going to do anyway? Do your best. That's a great motto. Do my best in all cases. If I make a mistake, I still did my best. I'll learn from that. Something else will happen. Mother Teresa was very grateful. She made it into the Gratitude Gazette. Another little story. You okay? Silent and thoughtful, maybe. All right, a little change of pace here. Two old friends met each other on the street one day. One looked forlorn, almost on the verge of tears. His friend asked, "What has the world done to you, my old friend?" The sad fellow said, "Let me tell you. 3 weeks ago, my uncle died. Left me $40,000. That's a lot of money. But you see," his friend said, "2 weeks ago, a cousin I never even knew died and left me $85,000, free and clear. Sounds to me that you've been very blessed." "You don't understand," he interrupted. "Last week, my great aunt passed away. I had inherited almost $250,000 from her." Now, the man's friend was really confused. "Then why do you look so glum?" "This week? Nothing." So sometimes we don't appreciate what we get, or we expect that things will continue as they have. This week, nothing. Almost sad. I guess the relatives weren't that close, so I guess he didn't miss them. But what are we dependent on? What are we expecting? You know, that something should always be a certain way. And if it stops, what are we thinking that we need? Okay. How many of you have misplaced your phone? Okay. How'd you feel when you realize, where is it? Okay. It's kind of a shock. We're needing that. Or your car doesn't start. Or, I mean, there's things, um, we've been pretty lucky this year with storms and electricity and such like that, knock on wood, whatever. But are we dependent on things being in a certain way for our own happiness, our own contentment? We should expect certain things. I do. I expect, that the banks are going to hold on to my money and that the electricity is going to be there and that the trains are going to run. Um, and when they don't, you know, how do you feel? We had a storm in the spring, I think it was, and was on the train, Long Island Railroad, and very windy, and a train came over the tracks. And then we got stuck. And then they were, how long is it going to take? Chainsaws, how they get there, how they get it out. So they decided just to back up. And they said, everybody out. I want to say it was 3 stops west of here, whatever that would have been. And there we were. Like, well, now what do we do? And I don't have an Uber app. I've never taken an Uber. And there were, train full of people just kind of figuring out, and everybody was doing their thing. And so I was with someone, but very kind of lost, at that time. Not critically, probably could have called someone and gotten a ride. Probably still not standing there waiting for something to happen. But how much are we thinking and how flexible could we be? And would we get sad? Or would we be able to deal with a change? So I hope all your relatives are healthy. But if they're not, I hope that good things come your way also. One more? We got a few more. I think we got something. Let's see how it goes. Another little story. Are you okay with these? Something like that. At 40, Franz Kafka, he died in 1924, who never married and had no children, was walking through a park one day in Berlin when he met a girl who was crying because she had lost her favorite doll. She and Kafka searched for the doll unsuccessfully. Kafka told her, he's a very famous writer, if you don't know. Kafka told her to meet him there the next day, and they would come back to look for her. The next day, when they had not yet found the doll, Kafka gave the girl a letter written by the doll saying, "Please don't cry. I took a trip to see the world. I will write to you about my adventures." Thus began a story which continued until the end of Kafka's life. During their meetings, Kafka read the letters of the doll, carefully written with adventures and conversations that the girl found adorable. Finally, Kafka brought back the doll. He bought one that had returned to Berlin. The little girl said, "It doesn't look like my doll at all." Kafka handed her another letter in which the doll wrote, "My travels have changed me." The little girl hugged the new doll and thought the doll and brought the doll with her to her happy home. A year later, Kafka died. Many years later, the now adult girl found a letter inside the doll. In the tiny letter signed by Kafka, it was written, "Everything you love will probably be lost. But in the end, love will return in another way." And so what is being offered is to embrace change. It's inevitable. You will grow. And you can shift pain into wonder and love. But it is up to us to consciously and intentionally create that connection. We will change. We have changed. Nothing will remain the way it is. Weather changes, body changes, circumstances changes, everything going through something new, something different. But can we accept that? Can we allow that to be our nature of not holding on, not expecting things to be a certain way, and being present, content, enjoying whatever comes, however it will be, and allowing ourselves to appreciate the moment, the situation, but like the doll, it might be lost. See how we might be able to recognize that we change, circumstances change, a variety of things will happen. Let's see if we've got something else. Even the Gratitude Gazette has an obituary. This one's a little different. It was about someone who wrote a note after probably one of those aunts passed away. And it was called A Coincidence or Spiritual Visitation. The day after you died in May, a mourning dove began visiting my backyard for the first time. He often appeared after I sat at the wooden table, perching on a nearby branch, as his small feathered body vibrated into a series of coos. I jokingly named him TJ, an inverse of your name. And whether he came by coincidence, as you would have argued, or a spiritual visitation, as my mystical mother suggested, he stayed for several weeks. Talking to him filled me with gratitude and reminded me that you live on within me and everyone who loves you. Is it just a coincidence? But it's a very profound that you live on within me and everyone who loves you. So how much love do we give? How much are we appreciated? How much can we be ourselves, content, accepting, grateful, and offer that to others so that they have that experience also? I think that's what I'll share from the Gazette. And maybe at this time, see if any of those little articles, excerpts, touched any of you. What are you grateful for? How are you going to use tonight's wisdom for this week, next Thursday, which is Thanksgiving Day, and we will not be here, Harmony House will not be open next Thursday. But you are all little Harmony Houses now. And so you are all going to share some of your stories, some of these stories, with whoever you're gathered with tomorrow, next week, Thursday. Happy Thanksgiving, rest of the month. And I'm hopeful the rest of your life. What's a story or a feeling or an experience that you are having, that you've had tonight, that you might want to voice? I think we have someone who is blessed with the ability to walk around and carry a microphone. So, Sister Michelle.
Just to remind you that a lot of books are banned even in this country. And sorry, just to remind you that a lot of books are being banned in this country. And we're blessed that we'll be able to read books.
There are a lot of people who have opinions about what has been written and don't want those available. And so freedom of choice. Are they good books? I don't know. Are they difficult? I'm not sure all the issues, but the ability to read a newspaper or to read a book or to read, we should be very thankful for that. Thanks. Other thoughts or inspirations or comments? Zoom tight. Another? Yeah, sure.
Sometimes people will complain they have dirty dishes to wash, but that means they had a meal to eat.
They had a meal to eat, they had a dish, and if they can wash it, they've got some water. Yeah. And it's nice to be thankful to have something to do. Okay. If you have dirty dishes, you had a meal, you had something, you have a place to do that. Because sometimes if you just don't have anything to do, you're not thankful at all. You get into that mindset of, nobody died this week. Where's mine? Just always taking. Part of the process of, it's interesting, Thanksgiving. It is giving thanks. It's not thanks taking, is it? That's kind of a bad name, isn't it? Holiday, thanks taking. I'm glad it's giving because there's something in that. Maybe you can think about that. Why is it called giving? Why do we give thanks? Why do we have the opportunity to give something? It means if you give something, you've got something. Lots of ways to be happy, content, appreciative. And when you have those thoughts, for me, it brings a power. It brings an energy. It brings something that I can use. It's self-generating. Sitting in a chair, just appreciating the ability to, have air to breathe, have lungs that can process that. There's a news article, not in the Gratitude Gazette, about the air in Delhi. They have the situation where heat from the summer and then the cold air comes in and it traps. And so nothing moves. And so all the smog, and I think it was like 400 times the safe limit, didn't go there. But we had that experience, was it last year? With the forest fires in Canada and the air in New York City one day was the worst in the world because of such like that. So hope that's not a regular occurrence here. But just the ability for us to go outside now. The air's going to be nice and fresh. All got washed out. Lovely night. I can hear the rain's trying to get in. We're having such a good time. Shadow goes. Who else? What's in your mind? What other thoughts do you have?
When I wake up in the morning, I see 4 lines as soon as I'm awake. I've got into that habit and I love it. It goes, thank you, God, for your love so soon. Thank you, God, for the food we eat. Thank you, God, for the birds that sing. Thank you, God, for everything.
It's very nice.
Makes me feel good.
Excellent. Good. Why not feel good? Yeah. And it's a nice little thought, what can I do to make myself feel good? Okay. And what kind of power can I claim so that I generate that? Because we're a goodness generator. It's a nice way to think of ourselves. Why don't I hold the thought that makes me empowered, that makes me have this, that gives me something to give? It's a nice way to envision ourselves, that we are instrumental in making the world a better place. We have to feed ourselves something nice, good, elevated first. Very good. Thanks.
I have something to say. It happened today. I had an interesting day. Always, I think I should be grateful that every day is interesting. Good well, I'm going to say good, always good, because I always learn something. But I think what I'm grateful for today is the interconnectedness I felt with people. In other words, even in my office today, I had the surprise of connecting differently with people, and that gift of being around people and being able to converse with them and being able to share experiences was really remarkable. I met someone who I see every day, but for some reason he popped in my office and just started speaking to me about how grateful he was about working here and everyone. So, and it was just listening to him because he's more operations. He runs the building. It's always, he's in charge. And to hear him, but to be able to share that to his joy, that was really, really nice. So it got me to see another aspect of him. And I don't know why he just popped in, but interestingly enough, he was talking, wow, he's been with about a year and how happy he is. It's like,
Great.
great. And it made me happy. I was laughing. I'm like,
Okay.
oh, good for you. I was like, ooh. So just that ability. And I feel that sometimes when I'm here, when I look at, sorry for my back, when I look at you and your smile, you could catch that smile. And that's something that's very special, that connection that we can have if we choose, if we're open to it. That's really a gift. Someone raised their hand.
Yeah. No, there are others who,
Okay, because they can't hear you. Okay.
Mhm. So comment for those on Zoom. Gratitude is the highest vibration, just like love. So yes. And can we make ourselves attuned, sensitive to those feelings? And when we have them and we don't, and what to do when they're not so prevalent. That's kind of our work also. How do I maintain, we would use a phrase here, my stage, that kind of energy of support. How do I keep that elevated, powerful, so that I work from there? I'm not looking for something, but how can I, keep that vibration, that energy high, useful? Do I have a useful energy, or am I a drain? Okay. And if I can recognize the difference, then I can do something about that. How can I elevate? I can read something, I can sit in a chair, whatever it's going to be. But to have that routine practiced so that it doesn't ever get too bad, very important. Very important how we do things. Great, thanks. I don't know, Narayanbai, if Zoom can be unmuted, if they would have something. They're kind of a quiet group also. Well, I'm very grateful that all of you braved the weather to come tonight. Wasn't quite sure if you were out of practice on what to do on a dark, rainy night, but congratulations. Thanks for coming out. It's always wonderful to be with you. So
Thank you. Can we do a?
we do a little reflection, if that's all right. Is everybody with
Zoomers
us?
don't have any. I think I'm grateful for the quiet too. It's so lovely.
Okay.
Just
Just quick feedback. I asked you to close your eyes while I read that one story. Did you do that? What was your experience when you opened your eyes? Okay. Yeah. Did you identify with the boy and he couldn't see and mm-hmm. Okay. Engaged. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. It's very common that people will say, oh, you know, if I only knew that they don't know what they have until it's gone. And then it's like, oh, I didn't appreciate it when I had it. And if we can listen to that wisdom and appreciate everything that we have all the time, uh, because it will change. Who knows what's going to happen? Yeah, please. Others will hear you.
The story about the doll resonated with me because I really struggle with change. It's really hard for me. And life is all change. I mean, it's always change. So for me, it's something that I struggle with and I, work on because change opens up many doors. And I mean, it's a wonderful thing, even though it can be scary.
Yep.
So that story kind of like resonated with me,
Great.
because I can relate to
Okay.
that.
Yeah, it changes us. And it is, I don't know how they measure these things, but one of the hardest things that we face is to change. We want things the way we want them so that we feel in control. But that's a facade, that's a lie. We're not in control. You know, things are going to happen around us that we don't. So how do I, stabilize myself, power myself while it's going to happen? Because it's going to happen. This room is going to change. It's full of elevated, thankful individuals, and soon, shortly, it will be empty and dark. But the good thing is it'll change again, and you'll be able to come back. Not next Thursday, but in 2 weeks. So why don't we reflect for a moment? And why don't you take away one of the miracles that you're living with and close your eyes? You're no longer able to see anything, but your other senses are heightened. You're aware of the sounds. You're aware of how you feel. You have that sense that I'm safe, calm, and I am a being whose nature is loving and peaceful. And I attune myself to that vibration and that feeling because it emanates from us inside. I hold these thoughts that I am a being of peace. And I focus my attention only on that experience, that thoughts, that feeling. And it emerges. I'm able to hold a thought, see myself, and allow that energy to flow. A minor miracle. I choose to be at peace. That quality responds. And I feel the love inside me grow. and the love of all of us tonight, creating that energy, vibration, feeling, and know that I am a creator, that I am powerful. And for that, we can share the feeling of being grateful and full of gratitude. And now we'll allow another little minor miracle and to be blessed with the power of sight. So come back, open your eyes, and enjoy all the experiences that the senses bring to you. So thank you for coming. Stay happy, stay peaceful, be full of gratitude. Share the wisdom you have and make the love be carried on by so many others in your life. Om Shanti. Have fun. Happy Thanksgiving. Announcements?
Thanksgiving, there are no announcements, at least I don't. You gave the announcement that we will not be having
Yeah.
a session, but hopefully we will see you again the following week and have a very happy Thanksgiving. And please stay for Toli and your blessings. And also just keep in mind that in December 12th, we are going to have a holiday, very special holiday event. And some of the people in this room will be starring in acclaimed performance. So hopefully you'll come. So and tell your friends it should be a lovely evening with light supper, and it's just going to be, we're going head first into the season of giving. So Om Shanti. That's going to be December 12th. It's a Thursday evening. Yes.